So, after their shock Impact Wrestling debut last week, Private Party will return to Impact Wrestling this coming Tuesday alongside the former TNA World Heavyweight Champion himself, Matt Hardy. Once again will appear on Impact Wrestling on AXS TV this Tuesday. It has been confirmed by Impact Wrestling. You can see in the graphic right there that AEW stars Private Party and their manager Matt Hardy will be returning to Impact Wrestling this week. Now, of course, last week on Impact Wrestling on AXS TV, Private Party defeated Chris Sabin and James Storm on Tuesday. This win granted them a shot at the Impact Wrestling Tag Team Champions, the Good Brothers, for a future date. It was later announced that future date would be No Surrender on Saturday, February 13 from Nashville. It will air exclusively on the Impact Plus platform. Now, also, we've had a couple of other things announced for tomorrow's episode of Impact on AXS TV. The Impact World Champion Rich Swann, Tommy Dreamer, and Willie Mack, and a mystery partner will face off against the TNA World Heavyweight Champion Moose, Chris Bay, Sami Callihan, and Ken Shamrock. As I mentioned, Private Party and Matt Hardy, AEW stars, will return to the program. You've got Matt Cardona teaming up with Josh Alexander to take on Ace Austin and Madman Fulton. You've also got Joe Doring facing off against Cousin Jake. You've got Eddie Edwards versus Brian Myers, and you've also got Tenille Dashwood versus Rosemary. So you've got a pretty stacked show for tomorrow night. Now, don't worry, we will be doing a full preview tomorrow, so we'll be running down everything, giving you my thoughts on everything, breaking it down, what can we expect to see, what's going to happen, etc. But what we are going to talk about briefly here is Matt Hardy and Private Party appearing once again on Impact. Now, this wasn't any real surprise. I think most people thought that Matt Hardy and Private Party were going to appear on Impact this week. They kind of had to. Forget about, the production element of it. Forget about the logistics element of it, that obviously they were going to appear on Impact because they were there at the taping. So it makes a lot of sense that they were going to appear there. I think from a storytelling point of view, they were always going to appear on Impact Wrestling this week. You can't have someone become the number one contenders for the Impact Tag Team Championships and then disappear for a couple of weeks. They have to tell that story. So it was obvious that they were going to appear on Impact Wrestling this week, and that's been announced. What does it mean for the future? I think this is really interesting because to me, this signals what this Impact and AEW relationship is going to be going forward. That basically, now this is just me guessing, so I might be wrong here, but basically what I think we're going to see is that every Impact TV taping, Impact are given some AEW stars to utilize. And then on another Impact TV taping, they'll use another lot of AEW stars. I think that's probably going to be the case going forward. So previously it was Kenny Omega. This time, it's Matt Hardy, Private Party, and Tony Khan. Jerry Lynn's going to be there too. I would expect them to appear once again as well. And I think that's going to be the case. I think No Surrender's probably already been filmed, considering it's, 2 weeks away? 2-3 weeks away, something like that. It's probably already been filmed. So we had Matt Hardy and Private Party at the most recent TV tapings. Then at the next TV tapings, who knows who will appear? It might be Kenny Omega once again. It might be the Young Bucks. We did a video earlier today talking about a variety of AEW tag teams that could appear in Impact Wrestling in the future. So it could be any of them. It could be Matt Hardy and Private Party once again appearing in Impact Wrestling. Personally, I love it. I absolutely love it. I'm a big fan of Private Party. I think this is the best thing for them right now. I absolutely do. I think this is the best thing for Private Party right now in that, what are they doing in AEW Dynamite at the moment? What are they doing in AEW? Nothing of massive substance, really. Are they in the AEW World Tag Team Championship picture? No, they're not. And they're not going to be for the foreseeable future. That is occupied by the Young Bucks. That is occupied by, looks like maybe going to be the Good Brothers going forward soon. I don't know. But that is occupied right now. Are Private Party going to compete for those tag team titles? No, they're not. Are they front and center in that tag team picture right now? No, there are other tag teams above them. So what do you do with them? Do you have them on AEW Dark every week? Do you have them having squash matches? Do you have them having semi-competitive matches on AEW Dark every week? You can, and they have. But eventually they need more. They need to develop. And how do you do that? Send them to Impact. It's no relegation to them. It's no demotion. If anything, it's a statement of intent by AEW. It's Tony Khan saying to them to look, whoever I put in this spot is going to actually get a lot of attention. Whoever I put in this spot is going to get a lot of buzz. Putting you in this position is very, very good for you. And I think that's the case with Private Party. It's a massive sign of respect. It's a massive endorsement from Tony Khan, because let's face it, this is uncharted waters right now. They're very fresh into this AEW and Impact Wrestling relationship. It's very, very fresh right now. They don't know what it's going to be. Can they trust Impact Wrestling, as well? Tony Khan's there backstage at Impact for a reason, I would think as well. He's trying to feel this out. He's not this naive billionaire fan that they play him off to be on television. That's the point. So I think it's a massive endorsement to have them there. And it gets them a lot of attention, and it's certainly the right thing for them. You know, I've said it time and time again when it comes to Private Party. Private Party in the ring, you know, not a lot of people are better than them. Arguably, no one is, right? They're one of the best in-ring competitors in AEW when it comes to tag team wrestling. Do they need to improve on their psychology? Yes. Do they need to improve on how they put matches together? Yes. They're not the only one in AEW that I think that applies to, but they are very, very solid. They are an excellent tag team. They've had spectacular matches. Where they do need to improve on, like I said, is the psychology. Where they do need to improve on is the promos. Their promo ability, frankly, without sounding too disrespectful, sucks. I think back to that promo interaction they had with Chris Jericho on Dynamite a couple of months ago. I think it was Isaiah Cassidy had like a promo back and forth between him and Chris Jericho, and man, I mean, I know it was, you know, a slightly empty arena there at Daly's Place, and I know that it was quieter than usual, but man, it was a tough listen. That's why having Matt Hardy there is so important. Matt Hardy, which is funny because for a long period of his career, especially in his early career, a lot of people said Matt Hardy couldn't cut a promo. Now he is nothing but an excellent promo. His days in terms of being in the ring are coming to an end. I mean, he's not finished yet, and he can still go in the ring. There's no doubt about that. But look, let's face it. This is a guy that's in his 40s. He has been beat up to smithereens when it comes to TLC bumps, concussions, you name it, he has had it. So this is a guy that his in-ring days are slowing down, certainly. But what he has managed to reinvent himself, especially over the course of the last 5 or 6 years or so, is by the promos. Matt Hardy has been able to reinvent himself by promos, by different characters, by any of that, and he's doing it once again, and it's fantastic to see it once again because now he's doing it through Private Parties. Now he's being the Don King, you know, to Private Party. He's managing this young tag team, possibly taking advantage of them in the sense that they're getting these great opportunities. They're tag team, you know, one contenders to the Impact Tag Team Championships. They're crossing borders between Impact and AEW, but who's getting richer because of it? Not Private Party, Matt Hardy. Matt Hardy took 50% of their contracts last week. Matt Hardy took 30% of their contracts on Dynamite the day later, so he's making all of this money. And his promo last week on Impact was so deranged. If you look back on it, it was so deranged. It was so entertaining, and it had lots of high spots in it as well that I really enjoyed. When he said, look, I saved Impact Wrestling from bankruptcy in 2016, he is not lying. That is close to a shoot as you're going to get. I thought that was a lot of fun. Obviously, he referenced how he technically is still the Impact Tag Team Champion as well with his brother Jeff Hardy. They never lost the Impact Tag Team Championships. They were stripped of those titles in some dumb teleportation angle with the Decay back in 2017, which again is true. I mean, in fairness to Impact, they were their hands were tied there. The Hardys had left, and they were still the Tag Team Champions. They had to get the belts off them somehow. So they did the teleportation angle, which was very in keeping with the broken universe of that period of time. But he was right, and obviously, I'm very excited about Private Party appearing in Impact. I'm very excited about them maybe having matches. I'm very excited about them competing inside of an Impact Wrestling ring, inside of the Impact Zone. All of that is very, very exciting. But I would be lying if I said the thing that I'm not the most excited about is Matt Hardy being back in Impact Wrestling. Matt Hardy, his history, obviously, when it comes to Impact Wrestling is very, very well documented. And he did save Impact Wrestling from bankruptcy in 2016. Dave Meltzer of the Wrestling Observer newsletter, which I know when it comes to Impact, his reporting can be a bit iffy, but he would know when it comes to the books of Impact in sort of 2016. He said, look, that line pretty much was a shoot back in 2016. I mean, it's public knowledge. Billy Corgan has spoken about it. It's been referenced in lawsuits and in depositions and stuff like that. Impact Wrestling in 2016, they were in a lot of trouble. The money had run out. Dixie Carter, Panda Energy, they weren't funding Impact anymore. The money had run out. There was a variety of different loans to make various TV taping works. Talent wasn't getting paid. Remember all the talent that left Impact Wrestling in 2016, whether it's Kurt Angle, Bobby Roode, Eric Young, all of those names had gone. Why? Because the money was running out. The money was running out of Impact Wrestling at the time. So, Matt Hardy was right in the sense that the only viable thing that was drawing Impact Wrestling any money, the only viable thing that was getting people to talk about Impact Wrestling, the only viable thing that was saving Impact Wrestling at the time was one man, that was Broken Matt Hardy and the Broken Universe. It saved Impact. You look at Impact Wrestling was dead. Impact Wrestling was dead. It was a dying brand and nobody cared about it. Any opportunities they had keeping fans, they'd turned away because of BS business practices, as I mentioned, lawsuit, chaos, Game of Thrones stuff going on backstage, a bad product as well, and just everything. People had just kind of given up on Impact Wrestling. And then because of the broken universe, because of broken Matt Hardy, because of, you know, final deletion, ultimate deletion, all of that kind of stuff, people gave it another chance. People looked at the ludicrousness, if that's a word, of Matt Hardy and his broken universe. People watched that YouTube clip, right? The final deletion on YouTube at the time, where Impact could barely draw anything, had like 2 million views on YouTube, which was really hard for Impact to do at that period of time. And they did it, and it was because of Matt Hardy. Matt Hardy and the broken universe, there's no doubt they saved Impact Wrestling. There's no doubt. Now, financially, did they buy Impact Wrestling? No, of course they didn't. Did they invest their money? I don't know. I don't know. There was some really shady stuff going on in that period of time. But there's no doubt the only viable thing during that period of time was the broken universe. Matt Hardy saved it. And obviously the way that it ended when it came to Impact and Matt Hardy and the broken universe was tumultuous, to say the least. They wanted to stay. Matt Hardy admitted he wanted to stay. Jeff Hardy admitted he wanted to stay. Their contracts came up at the same time, but they wanted to stay. What they wanted, though, was a greater creative control. They had built this huge universe within Impact Wrestling. They built the broken universe. They built broken Matt Hardy, Brother Nero, King Maxwell, his wife Rebby. They built it all, and they were so integral to the product at that time. They were the most highest drawing thing on that product. They were the thing that anyone cared about on that product during that period of time. And he said, look, if I'm going to stay, I need to control it. Like, I've controlled everything so far, but I want it written down. I don't want anyone going over my head. I know how this place works. I know Game of Thrones. I know what's going on here. I want to have creative control. And at that period of time, Billy Corgan was the president, and then he felt like he'd been slighted and he'd been tricked and he'd been fooled, and then the lawsuit started between him and Dixie Carter and Impact Wrestling and Anthem. Then Anthem bought Impact Wrestling. They put in Jeff Jarrett, and then the Hardys and Jarrett clashed. We know how that ended as well. Lawsuits and litigation. So the Hardys left, and then they go to WWE. Well, they go to Ring of Honor, then they go to WWE, and then we know what's happened there. The rest is history, as they would say. And personally, I felt Matt Hardy would never return. I really felt Matt Hardy would never return. I felt that once he signed with WWE, I really felt he would never go to Impact. Once he left WWE, I thought, well, maybe he might do a cameo. He teased it. He teased it himself, saying, look, there's unfinished business for me in Impact Wrestling. I think he was just being Matt Hardy at the time and trying to stoke the fires, as it were. But there was a possibility. And then once he went to AEW, I felt, okay, he's going to end his career in AEW. Matt Hardy had pretty much said that. I'm going to end my career in AEW. It's my last contract. I think he signed for 3 years. I want to end it my own way. I want to have creative control. I want to paint the canvas the way I want to paint it, all that kind of stuff. And I felt, well, that Impact chapter was closed. And, you know, frankly, it's not a bad thing. We saw broken Matt Hardy. We saw the genius that was the broken universe in Impact. That will live on forever. It doesn't matter about it. And then once we saw Matt Hardy return on Tuesday, it was a huge shock because arguably on that AEW roster right now, maybe apart from a Sting, you know, there isn't many people on that roster that are so closely associated with Impact Wrestling than Matt Hardy. So it was surreal to see him back. It's great to see him back. I would assume he's probably going to continue to be this big money Matt character in Impact Wrestling. But look, if he's only going to be on Impact TV for 3-4 weeks while he's there at Private Party, I would love to see him run the gambit of the characters that he's done in Impact, whether it is Big Money Matt, whether it is the broken Matt Hardy. It just would feel right, wouldn't it? It just would feel right if he returned in that, if he just opened up that Broken Universe book once again when it came to Impact Wrestling as a bit of a love letter of, look, I'm probably not going to be back in Impact again. I'm probably going to finish my career in AEW. It just feels right. It just feels right. And is that going to be the start of it on Tuesday? You know, I don't know. I really don't know. But what I do know is that the Private Party and Matt Hardy are going to be there on Tuesday. And what I do know is that it's very exciting and it's the latest development of this Impact and AEW relationship. And it's only the beginning. As I mentioned before, this is the tip of the iceberg and it's very, very exciting. But of course, as always, this is just one man's opinion. What are your thoughts on Matt Hardy and Private Party set to appear on Impact Wrestling this week on AXS TV? Let me know your thoughts in the comment section below. I'll do my best to respond and reply to all of your comments. Really enjoy interacting with you guys, talking about Impact Wrestling, AEW, WWE, all things pro wrestling here on the channel. So be sure to get involved in the community, drop a comment below. All opinions are welcome. If you have enjoyed this video, please do smash a like on the like button too. Really does help us out here on YouTube, go up the rankings and get into people's recommendation feeds if they haven't seen our videos previously. But most importantly, if you haven't already, please do subscribe to Wrestle News 365. You can do that by clicking the bottom right hand corner of the screen right now. Or if you wait a few seconds, there'll be a subscribe button at the end of this video along with another video for you to watch. Thank you very much for watching, listening, streaming, or have you come across this video today, and I'll speak with you again very, very soon.
Hey guys, thank you for watching, listening, streaming, or however you come across this video today. Be sure to click on the video on the right there to watch our next video, or click the bottom there to subscribe, or the bottom right hand corner. Thank you very much, and I'll speak to you again very soon.